Okay, you are Lieutenant Walton Hanna, correct?
Yeah, First Lieutenant Hannah Walton.
Hannah Walton, okay. That's also another way to say that. And I am Staff Sergeant Olmos, here working at the Ukiah Army Recruiting Center. And we're going to take a little moment to talk to you basically about your MOS and what you're doing now and how you feel about it, essentially.
Okay.
And basically, it's to let everybody know what that job is, what it was, and how it applies, how it can apply to somebody's future career plans. So that being said, we already covered your name, rank. So where are you from?
I'm from Vancouver, Washington. I went to school in just outside Chicago, Illinois.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. And why did you join?
So I joined when I went to. Well, I first became interested in the military when I went to HOSA, which is a Health Occupations Students of America. I went to a HOSA competition in high school, and they had some Army nurses there, and they were talking about different opportunities in the medical field that the Army could present. I hadn't been interested in the military before, don't really have a lot of people in my family who have served, or if they did, we didn't talk about it. But they kind of opened my eyes to the possibility that you could go and just be a normal physical therapist and just work in the Army. So I originally started looking at ROTC because of that, and then after I got into an ROTC program, kind of totally went away from that and just got on board the Army train. I learned a lot and really respected the people who were teaching me about the Army, the cadre members there, and yeah, I started looking at all sorts of different opportunities and that within the Army, more traditional Army, not necessarily the medical field, and yeah.
Yeah. And oddly enough, like being a medic, I got to know like a lot of physical therapists, and you're right, they do just regular physical therapy stuff. I think it's really cool like to see them actually work in the field from like the rural tools, no, tools, rural twos, and they actually just go from like different uh, placements, like to where we had guys like set up, and they'll actually just set up like a shop real quick with their little massage tables. Like we're here to stretch anybody out for like 2 hours, and they literally hop on whatever convoy or helicopter out and just go to the next one.
Yeah, so something that was really interesting to me when I wasn't really interested in like traditional combat or anything like that was the idea of like the Army has cities, just we call them posts, but cities all over the world. So I could have gone to Germany and just been a physical therapist and worked in a city where there are civilians to take care of, like families, and in addition to the soldiers who are hurt.
Yeah, and I think that's like one of the most fascinating things about like the army lifestyle that people don't really know about, and that's why we do little interviews.
Yeah.
Hey, that you can go to like South Korea. That's where I was like basically worked. It was my first duty station, but way back when. Uh, that I actually worked as an EMT on post. So I was literally picking up people like with like dislocated knees, doing like some kind of esprit de corps football game, load them up, and then just go right to the hospital. Yep, gonna pause it out.
All the cameras. I mean, all the phones.
UK Army Career Center, Sergeant Olmos speaking. Okay, that was a pleasant phone call I had. So once again, we talked about why you joined, where you're from. So let's talk about your job. And you're currently at 88 Alpha, correct?
Yes. So it's a transportation officer. What I hear, I don't do any transportation here, but in my last job, actually like you, Korea was my first duty station. So I just came from there. I was the platoon leader for the distribution platoon. So I had 29 trucks, more trailers, and I handled the fuel and the ammo distribution, and the water for our battalion. So
So basically, you guys drove like all the way up and down the peninsula, right?
All over Korea, yes.
Okay, with a bunch of PLSs, LHSs, all that stuff.
Yep, we had HEMTs mostly. Yep, we used cranes on the back of our HEMTs to move. We were in a field artillery unit, so we had giant launcher pods.
Ooh.
And we went out to the field, and the launchers would shoot them. Huge deal. Big.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And considering that, like, what would you say? Yeah, that'd be the equivalent to as far as like what a civilian would do.
So in the civilian world, a lot of my soldiers were 88 mics, which is a truck driver, and so a lot of them would go after they leave. They had plans to start their own truck businesses, drive their trucks around across the country in the United States, get their own trucks, or you can work for another corporation. A lot of the things that I would do on the officer side would be more of the logistics planning. So I know a lot of logisticians later go and work for Amazon or any other business that
And
has
those-
to network across the country.
So like planning and facilitating like a lot of deliveries, so like Amazon, UPS, DHL, those kind of companies.
Definitely. A lot of like up and coming companies.
Like, cause everybody's getting the market, like Walmart's even like having their.
Definitely. Walmart places, they drive their trucks all over the place. And it doesn't have to just be trucks. Another thing I did was a lot of fuel consumption. And, when are we going to need fuel where in the whole battlefield?
All the running estimate stuff.
Yeah.
Alright, that's good to know. So in case you didn't know what an 88 Alpha did, now you do. So one last thing, and thank you very much for sitting down and talking, is overall, where do you see yourself like using your Army benefits in the future? Like, just like I know we talked about it a little bit, but do you have any envision of that yet?
So I haven't decided if I'm staying in forever and ever or getting out. I don't have any real desire to get out right now, but I could, and I could use, I could go really dig into the logistics side, as we just talked about, or something that the military is really good at is leadership experience. So on the officer side, obviously, I had, 50 some soldiers underneath me and all those trucks, so I got a lot of leadership that really could translate into any position in the country. But I also, that's not just for the officer side. I had a platoon sergeant too, so the same amount of personnel management or more. My squad leaders all got that, and even some of the younger, some of the specialists were stepping up in big ways to get a lot of leadership experience. So.
Yeah, and that's one of the other things I always like to touch on, especially when I do my outreach and talk with people about it. That it's not so much just your job; it's very much a well-rounded opportunity for development. Would you say, is that correct?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, on the officer and enlisted side, not getting away from paperwork. if you're an officer, if you enlist,
Yeah.
you still get it. You get that management just as hard on the enlisted side.
And also one thing I always put more emphasis on, especially when people don't consider it, is that like you have your degree and your school experience, but now you have all this other experience too that you're earning still to this day. Like, do you feel more competitive, like knowing that you have that experience versus only having your degree and that's
Definitely.
it?
Yeah. So when I talk to other people, like my peers who I graduated college with and stuff, a lot of them, the engineers, they're fine. They get degrees, right? They get good jobs right away. But a lot of my my peers, when I talk to them, they have to go get a master's degree to feel like they're really competitive. And I don't feel the need to do that. I've already been in pretty high levels of management and had a lot of responsibility just 2 years out of college. So I think the level of responsibility that I have had to manage is much higher than most of my peers, and that goes a long way in looking for jobs.
And give us your age.
I'm 24.
Yeah.
Oh, 25. It's just my birthday.
Yes, happy birthday again.
Yeah.
Like, actually, yeah, happy late birthday. And I can't even. I'm 38, and I'm really barely starting to feel a lot of the benefits. And it's good to know that you're getting all this at a pretty young age. To know that really, if you kept doing this, you could have your pension and everything by what age would you say?
Oh, 20 years. So 22, 42.
Yeah.
I
And
can
I'm
be
gonna,
done working if I want.
and I'm 38, so there you go. Anyway, thanks for sitting down. And the last one, uh, if you could rewind time, you'd do it again.
Oh, definitely. I would most definitely do it again. I'd try to convince some of my friends too.
Yeah, kind of part of the job. But anyway, I would too.
Yeah.
Thanks for your time, man, and I'll let you go.
Thanks.